Hi, Nicholas. Good to see you. I wanted to talk with you for a few minutes today for a little bit about you. Um, First of all, Nicholas, tell me a little bit about how you would describe yourself.
I would probably describe myself as fun and energetic. I like to make others laugh. I like to, be around people and interact with others, and that's probably about it.
All right. Great. People who have sense of humors and people like that. So
Exactly.
you're in good company. Um, Tell me about your past. I know you have a very unique past, and tell me about your experiences, how you got to where we are right now.
Well, my parents in Ukraine, they before I got taken away from them one night, but I'll get to that. They didn't really get along. And I believe my mom actually was in the same orphanage as I was before. And so my grandparents there and my mom kind of told me about the orphanages.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that, police already taking a close look at us. They're just checking to see, probably somebody already has been in this orphanage. How are their kids doing and whatnot? So they're probably already keeping a close eyes on us. And my mom and dad really did not get along together. So my mom would be raising me, and she liked to go out at night with friends and whatnot, and she would leave us or leave me alone for very long periods of time. Sometimes a day or so, or maybe longer. Um, and one day, we all went over to her friend's house, and the friend had two daughters, and they're like, "Hey, you all can play games and whatnot, and we're gonna go out for a little bit." And I was so young, I was like, "Oh, that's fine." And they didn't return for probably a day or so, and in the morning, I remember a police officer was knocking on the door, and there were a couple other people with him, and they just kind of came in and they're like, "Well, y'all are going to an orphanage. Where are your parents and whatnot?" And so we were kind of taken away. And I couldn't believe it because my parents already told me about, going to an orphanage. It's like, I can't believe this is happening to me. It's like that false sense of being invincible and whatnot. So uh, I remember them taking me to the first orphanage, to a little one, and I stayed there for a very little time. It wasn't that long. And then they transferred us to a bigger one. And
How were I don't think you told us what country this was in.
Ukraine.
How were the conditions in the orphanages? How would they treat you? They treat you
They treated us very well, actually. They were like, parent figures, but like, there was like 300 girls and 300 boys. Yeah, that's a lot of kids. It's like classrooms, and per each classroom, there's, a teacher or, you know, a parent figure for about 50 kids or so. And, if you misbehave, of course, you get in trouble and whatnot. And all of that. So, we had meals 3 times a day, and we would have playtime. We would have homework time in the mornings. We get up just like here and go to school, and after you're done with school, you can go and play after you're done with your homework. And I really had a hard time. Didn't have an understanding of how important schoolwork was, and my grades. The grade level is like here. It's like you know up to 100, and there it's like 1 to 12, and my grades were like 2 and 1, so it was the lowest. So I didn't have any understanding. Um, I actually got hosted um, a few years later after I arrived at that orphanage. I got hosted to come live with a family for about a month or so, and they really liked me, and they wanted to come and adopt me, and so they told me this is going to take a little while for us to be able to get all this together, but we really want to adopt you. And I was like, oh, I was so excited. And for about maybe a year and a half or 2 years, I didn't really hear anything from them for a very long time. And then my parents now that adopted me, they came over there, and I was like, this might take it out of here. The other I have not heard anything from the other family. If I tell them no, how do I know if the other family is going to be there? Well, it turns out that after I say yes to the parents that I have right now, the other family was there a week later to come and adopt me.
Everybody
So
loves you.
exactly, yeah, it all worked out. But the life in the orphanage was, and sometimes it could have been, it was pretty bad. You have all these boys, they're fighting all the time, and there wasn't really a day where you didn't go by and you didn't fight somebody.
Right.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Um, so you got adopted here by a local couple in Elizabethtown who are teachers, right?
My mom is a teacher. She taught at TK Stone. We actually lived in Louisville. We actually moved here. I got adopted, and then we stayed in Louisville for about a half a year, and then we came to E-Town. And my mom's actually a teacher. She was a teacher at TK Stone. She was eighth grade science. And my dad is a perfusionist at Heart Memorial. He's on the heart team, so he works with hearts. And yeah, so he lived here for a while, and um, that's when mom started teaching me English and whatnot, and like she was already doing in Louisville, and we just kind of got into it a lot more, and we got other teachers involved, and every day I would come home after like 8 hours of school and have four more to do with mom, that's 10 times harder than the actual teachers.
Right, yeah. I understand that as well. Well, Nicholas, when you got to the United States, did you have any difficulties adjusting? Did you have any kind of things that you just like, I just don't get this, I'm frustrated, I can't do this, I quit?
Yes.
To the point of frustration.
Number one thing was learning English. I just could not spell. I just really couldn't. And it's just memorization of words that are simple as and, or, but, so it just could not spell them right. And my mom would just completely just, every single night, you do not leave this table until you get all of them right. And I had to, as long as it took, I would be sitting there for 5 hours trying to learn just 20 words just to spell them right. And that really got me frustrated. And reading as well, I have to sit there and read. And after a while, I love reading. I love books, and um, I would read probably a good 250 pages book in about probably 2 good days. So I was really into reading and whatnot, and then I got a cell phone, and that kind of stopped. Yeah. So don't get cell phones for your kids.